morning. It is Meredith, and today is the third day of my fun employment here in Manhattan, so I'm going to take you along with me, and I actually have some exciting plans today. So it is August 11th, so it's a Wednesday, and today I have a couple of plans. So I'm going to do a chatty get ready with me, and then I'm going to tell you what's up. So I'm going to just start with my skincare. So today is Wednesday, and it is the third day of my fun employment. The past couple of days I've done like basically some errands and kind of seeing a couple of friends, and just getting some things off of my to-do list that I've had stacked up because I was working on weekdays. So today is actually going to be full of some fun activities. So I actually have plans to meet up with a couple of friends. So one of my friends is coming in from out of state, not like California or anything. She's coming in from Delaware. So the reason why she's coming in is because one of my other friends, she actually was able to win the lottery for the Jimmy Fallon show. So we're actually going to go to Jimmy Fallon at 3:30, probably like 3 o'clock, 3:30. So that's when we have to start lining up. So I've been to almost all of the other sort of talk shows, comedy show type things. So I've been to Daily Show with both, I can't remember his name, and Trevor Noah. Why can't I remember his name? That's like, I want to say Jon Stewart. Yeah, it's Jon Stewart. I was going to say Jimmy Stewart, but I know that's wrong because I don't even know who Jimmy Stewart is. I think he's like an actor from like 1920s or something. So I have been to that. I've also been to the Colbert Show. Not the Colbert Report, but the Colbert Show. So I actually also won the lottery for last week tonight, but that was the first show actually that got canceled because of COVID last year, so I obviously have not been able to go to that. I've also won a couple of other times, but it just like I couldn't find anyone who had time to go to it. So this is going to be kind of exciting. My friend was actually having difficulty finding people who were free on Wednesdays during the middle of the day, so luckily I was unemployed this week because I'm waiting for my new job to start, and I wanted a little bit of time to do some errands, decompress, do a little bit of vacation, etc. Kind of do a little bit of traveling around New York City and that sort of stuff. So I was able to go, and then one of my friends actually had off of work today, so I was able to get her to come into the city. So we're actually going to meet up before it, just so that we don't get late, basically, because it's a very strict sort of timeline for going to the show. So the plan is to go to Restaurant Week. We're going to La Brasa, I think is that, or is it La Grasa? I can't remember. It is in Hudson Yards. It's the Spanish restaurant there, and it's owned by Jose Andres, who is like one of my favorite restaurateurs slash chefs. I've been to a lot of his restaurants in the DC area. I just haven't been to his one in New York because it's kind of expensive, if I'm being honest. So the Restaurant Week lunch we're going to, many Restaurant Week lunches are about $21, but the one we're going to is actually $39. So it's a little bit pricey, but since we're going to be in the taping like the entire afternoon, we're not going to be able to go and get like a snack or like go to a cafe or anything like that, so I think it's probably good to eat a very large lunch. So that's the plan. The other issue that I'm having is that it's actually the first day of excessive heat warning here. We started getting notified about excessive heat warning probably like Saturday or Sunday, but it's going to be like 105 to 107 degrees Fahrenheit, so I think that's around like 41 to 43. I haven't done conversions in my head in a while for Celsius. And then it's going to be very humid as well, so it's going to be about, I think it's like 90% humidity right now, which is like misery. The real misery is when you're waiting on the platform at the subway, just because there's like literally no air circulation in most of the subway platforms. So that is the plan for today. So I did my skincare. I'm going to go make my coffee now, and then I will check back in with you when it's time to do makeup. I kind of feel like there's no point in wearing makeup because I at least need to do my eyebrows just because they look non-existent right now, but I'm going to be masked the whole day. Oh, okay, so I'll tell you about Jimmy Fallon. So NBC is being very careful, which I appreciate. So you either have to bring your paper vaccination card, or if you got vaccinated in New York State, you can bring your Excelsior Pass. So if you want to know more about the Excelsior Pass, I can tell you about my experience. Basically, I did it just because I don't want to have my paper one, because like if I ever travel outside the country, they're not going to take the Excelsior Pass probably. So I don't want to spill like coffee on it, you know, ketchup or something stupid. You know me, I probably would do it. So I got the Excelsior Pass. It's very simple to set up. You basically put in your name and your date of birth, and then I think that was about it, I think, actually, because they can look up your vaccination record because it's with the DOHMH in New York City anyway, or New York State, and then they have your vaccination record on hand. They just have to basically confirm that it's you. I think you probably also have to put your social in, now that I think about it. So on top of that, you do have to be masked in the Jimmy Fallon show the entire time you're there. So as soon as you step foot in the premises, you do have to put your mask on, so that's great as well. So I did start double masking, but that's because, number one, a lot of other people are double masking, so I want to make sure that they know that I'm respectful. And number two, I'm starting a new job in a couple of weeks, and I don't want to get Delta right now because honestly, that would be like the worst timing ever. On top of that, it's New York City and it's really freaking hot out, so a lot of people have really bad body odor and it smells really bad, so having the double mask actually helps with that as well. And it actually, I kind of forget I'm wearing it after a certain time, like even the double, so it's like, I think it's like the cloth masks my mom makes, I think are like 3 or 4 layers thick, plus I have the triple layer medical, non-medical, like, you know, mask. So yeah, plus it's nice because my face is sweating, so it's like it covers up the fact that my face is super sweaty. So it's just really nice to have. So yeah, especially on the subway, like the subways are very full these days, especially at certain stations, so it just feels nice to have it on there because there are a lot of jokers out there who are deciding not to mask on the subway even though it is required. So yeah, smells, definitely a plus. I don't smell them quite as strong. That's how bad it is. Some people, like, I can smell it through like my 2 masks. So I'm gonna go make my breakfast. It's just gonna be Activia and some coffee, so I'll come back in here when it's time to do my makeup. So it is sometime later and this angle and lighting is really bad, so let me try to fix it. It is sometime later. I just spent some time answering some emails, taking care of just some like business things. So now it's time to do my makeup. So again, today is going to be very hot, so who knows if this is even going to be worth it. So let me just get started. I am still using this Your Skin But Better foundation from IT Cosmetics, and it is probably nearing its last legs. I think it's only good for, yeah, 12 months after opening, and it's been open about 12 months, so let's just get this used up. So I guess right now I just want to talk about the vessel. So this was like a architectural sort of piece at Hudson Yards, and it opened when the mall opened. But the issue is it's been kind of the site for a lot of people to commit suicide, and I think it was brought up in the development process, but the developer and the architect didn't want to make any sort of strategies to reduce the ease, I guess, of that situation occurring. So I guess they started trying to institute this policy where a few months back somebody had done it, so then they started this policy where you had to go with other people in order to enter the vessel itself, but then that didn't prevent, I think it was most recently, a teen from doing the act there. So it's closed again, and they're kind of discussing whether or not it's even going to reopen ever. I mean, I think I can't really relate to it myself just because I've never been in that circumstance, so I think at that point it's the time to bring in advocates and people from these sort of societies and groups to kind of discuss things with developers. Like, I'm assuming, of course, this is a big assumption, that the developers and the architects didn't have any personal experience with what the feelings are like when they were like, oh no, we can't disrupt the beautiful like features and how beautiful the design is by putting in bars and plexiglass and things like that. But I think it would have definitely helped to reduce those acts from occurring there. I don't know, this is just my personal opinion, of course. So yeah, I don't know. It's kind of sad to see that happen in general, but also the fact that the developers kind of ignored advocacy groups and people who brought it to their attention before the vessel even opened. so this is going to be the look today, but honestly most of the time I'm going to have a mask on, so it kind of doesn't matter what the bottom half looks like. So I will check back in with you later. Actually, I think I'll check back in with you very soon, because I just remembered that I had that dessert from whatever night that was, Monday night. So I think I'm going to eat that because I think it's going to eventually taste like my fridge. So I think it was better that I just consume it now before I leave for the day. As I mentioned, I'm going to try to finish these s'mores in a jar. Well, they're no longer in a jar, but I bought them at the Smith. It was like a huge jar too. I don't know if that was on camera, if it made sense, but like it was like 18 ounces, I think, or at least a pint. I don't know how much that is, but it looked like if you buy a gelato in the store, that's what size jar it came in. So I don't know if honestly I can finish this today either, but it does probably taste like my fridge, so I just gotta get it eaten. So as an update, I am still not a dessert person, but I did make a dent, and it does semi-taste like fridge, but it's going back in the fridge. So we shall see what it tastes like tomorrow.
Just be safe. Yo, I don't care if you're going to the bodega across the street to get taco. And I don't care if you're on the right place or to pick up oxtails. Wear your mask. You know what I'm saying? Just wear the mask. And thank you for helping keep our city safe. Appreciate y'all. Have a great day, everybody.
Downtown Local 7 train to
34th Street, Hudson Yards.
approaching the station. Please stand away from the platform edge.
My friend and I met up at Muji and we decided to go in. So apart from looking at the stationery and all of the great home goods and organizational materials, the main goal for me to go there was to check out their suitcases, just because I've been eyeing them for about a decade, and now that I'm in the need of a new suitcase, I figured it was a great place to stop. I also saw these backpacks, which I thought would be great for a diaper bag or taking to work or something like that, just because they're very versatile and they kind of collapse very easily. So we made our way downstairs to the Little Spain area. So while we were on our way, there's actually a little exhibition about Spanish food and then also the different regional foods. So it's a really nice place just to stop if you're interested at all about learning about Spanish foods. So you continue going down into the market area. So it's kind of like a market hall, sort of food hall atmosphere. So there are different stations for all of the different foods. So you can see here there are some wines station. There's also like a station for empanadas and then some ice cream on the side there as well. And then you can see here that they actually grow some of their ingredients in-house. And then we had a little bit of extra time, so we also looked at the little retail shop they had here, and it had a lot of different Spanish foods and like other accoutrements, and also some Jose Andres products as well to purchase. So I got ridiculously sweaty walking there. It was super duper humid. So this is what it looks like in the waiting area. They do assign you a color and a number ticket, and that's how they determine the order in which you file into the theater. After a certain point, you do turn off your phones. You go through about 4 rounds of security, and they also have a little bit of a waiting pen, but make sure you do bring water if you need it, because I definitely needed it, and I did not have it, but my friend was well prepared. As any tourist attraction should, they dropped you off in the gift store with a coupon after this taping. So you can see here there are a lot of NBC gifts, and these are pretty unique, and you can pick them up in person. The other thing I wanted to mention is that the other unique items there include autographed copies of any books written by NBC stars or celebrities. The mascot looks like it's hiding something. These are $40. Hi, so I am back from my day's activities. So I met up with a friend for lunch. We went to Jose Andres' little Spain area in Hudson Yards. Super duper cute. So if you're very interested in trying a bunch of Spanish foods, there are different like stalls and things set up. So we went to La Barra. So that was actually really good food. So it's tapas style. So we ended up actually sharing the restaurant week menu between the two of us. That was what the server recommended. So the server was very funny. So we were like, oh, is that going to be too much food? And the server was like, well, it depends on how hungry you are, but she was like, you might want to just start with the one and then we can add on extra tapas later. It ended up being actually the perfect amount of food for the both of us. Our favorite food were the flan. So flan won the show, and then also we both really liked the shrimp. So we got the shrimp and it came with bread to dip in the oil and garlic. So I would say if you are not a huge fan of garlic, do not get the shrimp because it's very garlicky. To be honest, maybe I should have thought about that a little bit harder before we decided to go you know, sit with our mask on the entire time at Jimmy Fallon. So yeah, I mean, it was definitely a choice that we made, but I didn't regret any of it. So then we made our way over to Jimmy Fallon. It was like super duper humid, like 90 something plus humidity, which is like not fun for me. I think people think that I'm over exaggerating when I say I'm sweating, but no, I'm like sweating, and it's like only in like the very visible area, so it's like right around my hairline. And so we got there, it was right at like around 3:04-ish, so we had planned to meet my friend at 3 o'clock just because she was the person who actually got the tickets for us. We got in the queue. It was pretty quick. You do have to show your vaccination and your ID the entire steps of the way until you basically go and you sit in the waiting area to go into the show. So I can go into more of the process here. If you're not interested, skip ahead a little bit. So basically we went and my friend showed her QR code for the tickets themselves, and then they basically made sure that everyone was there and present, checked our vaccination and our ID cards, and then let us go in to the next area. After we went into the next area, then they checked our ID and our vaccination card again, and then we kind of waited a little bit in like the rotunda area. I think that was actually after the third time. that we had our vaccination and ID checked, and then we went through security. They put all of our stuff through the x-ray machine. They do allow water, but it was only water, so keep that in mind. And then also no large bags. However, there was one man who had a large backpack, or at least it looked large to me, but he was able to bring that in, but it might be a case-by-case basis. So then after we went through that area, then we also waited again, showed our vaccination cards, I think a total of 4 and 5 times for the vaccination and ID cards. And then after a while, then we made it up into the elevator, and after we got off the elevator, then they kind of sorted us by the ticket type. So for our show, I don't know if it's always these colors and types, but there was an orange card and a white card. We actually didn't see anyone with a white card, but my assumption is those are like kind of like the single rider pass. So they just kind of pepper you in throughout the audience when there are like empty seats that are single seats. They also seat by, it seems like somewhat by the order in which you arrive at the location at 30 Rock. So you enter on the 50th Street side, and then basically they will seat you, arrange you in a way in like alphabetical and then numerical order based on that. So personally, I believe that they kind of look at your demographics of your group and also like check to see how you're dressed and things like that, just because you're in the audience and you might actually show up on the show. So I would say if you're interested in being in the show, honestly, I don't have any experience with it. I'm never in the show. I was in the show one time, but that was just because my friend and I were the only 2 people of color in that particular audience that day. So we were front and center, so that was something that happened. The other thing is to keep in mind that you don't want to wear anything with any branding or large logos or like graphics on it, just because, you know, like copyright, and also like, you know, like we wouldn't want to have a particular like affiliation of certain things on the whole entire network, as if you understand what I mean. So if you are trying to get on TV, I would say make sure you dress professionally but yet plain, if that makes sense. So I don't think we will be on TV, just because when we were sitting there watching, it was basically the camera cut us off at our row, and behind the row in front of us did appear to be on the TV show. So just in terms of how they seated people, I would say the demographics that the people from us forward looked very mixed. So in terms of age, kind of like family composition, sex, and also race, it kind of looked like a big mix, if that makes sense. Everyone behind us also was somewhat of a mix. I would say the Jimmy Fallon show was actually the most heterogeneous sort of mix ever. If I'm being honest, it was like very representative of what I think America kind of looks like. So I would say everyone was represented. However, that being said, only 16-year-old and older are able to join the show. So if anyone in your party is under the age of 16, they're not going to be allowed to join the show. You do have to bring an ID, a photo ID with your full legal name and that sort of thing, and it does need to match your ticket. So my friend did get the tickets through IOTA, I think that's how you say it, but I didn't realize this until I was mentioning it to her, because I was trying to get SNL tickets last week, but you did have to write like a story about why you should be chosen to be in the SNL audience. She said she also wrote a similar story about that. So if you are going to be applying to go to the Jimmy Fallon show, just from her experience, you do have to write a little bit about why you think you should be selected to be in the audience. We sat there, and I think we were dismissed around 6:30. Phones do get turned off as soon as they call your row to go line up to go into the large elevator. And then after you get on the large elevator, after that, if anyone sees your phone or anything like that, you're going to be kicked out and you're not going to be allowed back in. They are very strict, so once you're seated in that seat, you're sitting in that seat, and if you get up to leave, you're out forever. So no getting up to go to the bathroom or anything like that. So definitely make sure you take advantage of going to the bathroom before you are seated within the theater itself. Then there's like typical like live show stuff. So there's like the Roots is there, which they're always great to see. And then there's like some sort of like, he's supposed to be like the the pump up guy, I guess. I've seen him at like all of the shows that I've been to before. I don't know what his name is. Usually he hands out tickets for his like stand-up show on the weekends in like West Village or something like that. But he didn't hand it out today just because, you know, I don't think stand-up is back quite yet. So then he's there. Some of the segments that he did are always a little bit awkward because he doesn't know how to shut it off when it gets a little bit awkward. But that's just my personal opinion. So that lasted a while. So then today the guest was Billy Crystal. So my friends and I were joking because I don't know anything about pop culture. So the only thing I knew about pop culture about Billy Crystal is that he is famous in my eyes for voicing Mike Wazowski of Monsters, Inc. So my friends were like, no, he's definitely there to promote something else. So they Googled and they were like, oh my gosh, there is a new Monsters, Inc. show. So that was actually not why he was promoting it. He's like promoting some movie that he wrote, produced, and directed. I don't really know that much about it other than that, but I do know that all of the audience members, out of all of the things that he mentioned, they cheered the most for Monsters, Inc. So that's my one little pop culture reference that I understood. And then the other guest was the Olympic swimmer Kayla Decky, I think that's what her name is, and she was there with all of her medals that she won at the Tokyo Games, and she had like a pretty brief interview, but I understand because I'm pretty sure she was doing the media rounds in the building, so I'm guessing that they only schedule about 2.5 minutes with her at each sort of station. So then she was there, and then there was no musical guest today. It was a stand-up comedian named Jackie Fabulous. So actually I hadn't heard of her before, but she was actually quite funny. Honestly, I was like, oh, can she say some of these things on network TV? But yeah, I don't know what made the air or not made the air. My dad says he's gonna watch it because I don't have TV, so he just has to relay what was on the air to us. The one funny segment is the hashtag segment, and today was about books. Oh yeah, that reminds me, there was another guest after Katie Ledecky. It was an author who wrote the Fallon Book Club book, and the book club book is called The Plot. We actually didn't know too much about the author or the book, but it turns out that she had also wrote a book that was adapted for HBO. I can't remember the name of the book. The show. My friend said she watched it. It's like, yeah, I have no idea what the HBO show is. I think it was HBO. My friend has told me about it twice, but I don't have HBO, so I haven't really remembered the name. I also don't watch TV, so those are two things that I will not remember. So the book that she wrote is about basically a writing professor who had a student who came up with a really good idea for a novel, but then apparently the student later, after they finished the course, actually passed away before they were able to write the novel. So then the writing teacher took the novel and produced it and wrote it himself, and then it became like a bestseller instantly, and then he was like super racked with guilt, I guess. They didn't really tell us too much because they didn't want to give any spoilers away. So that was what the book was about. So she was there, and we felt bad for her because she had some hair issues. So I could tell because I have issues with my baby hair, but if they're at a certain place you can feel it and it gets very annoying. So halfway through the interview she tried to fix it, to move it over, but then that messed up the other side, so then her hair was very messed up, and I felt really bad for her. All of us felt really bad for her because we were like, we just wanted him to reach over and fix her hair for her and move it out of her face, but he didn't do it. So then Jimmy just kind of leaves the stage after he closes that out, and then we exit quickly after that. So that was about it in a nutshell. It is kind of an interesting experience, but kind of all of the comedy shows in terms of the production and things like that are pretty similar. It just depends on the day that you're there in terms of the guests, what kind of jokes are going on, that sort of thing. Personally, I've had the easiest time getting daily show tickets. I have not personally been successful with Jimmy Fallon just because I don't really understand how the tickets are released for Jimmy Fallon, if I'm being honest. And then also Colbert was pretty easy to get tickets for, and also Last Week Tonight was also pretty easy to get tickets for, but I think it was just timing wise. It wasn't when there were a lot of people coming to New York. It again was in March 2020. So yeah. I have also tried to get SNL tickets, and again, this year was a little bit different from in the past. Usually in the past, I don't think I've had to write an essay question or like answer a long answer sort of question, but this year they did ask additional information there. So that's everything I got for you. So after the show, we actually ended up going to this like restaurant on 9th Ave. So it's called Mom's. I think it's called Mom's. I think that's just it. So, I got a frosé slushie, and then my friend got her Diet Coke in a flamingo floaty, and we all got various different foods. So I ended up getting the fried chicken and bacon waffle. So that was actually pretty good. It's just a lot of food. So at first I was like, wow, this is kind of expensive, but then it's actually not that expensive. So it was like $20, I think. But it was like a huge waffle, and it had like an entire 1.5, I think, chicken breasts on it, and like 3 strips of very thick bacon. So it was like a very hefty portion. So I'm definitely going to eat that tomorrow for lunch. My friend ended up getting the mac and cheese pancakes, which was like a huge amount. So the pancakes were like bigger than the entire plate. Let me think about it in terms of like IHOP size. I haven't been to IHOP in like maybe 2 decades, but from what I remember, IHOP pancakes were like the size of a dinner plate, so I would say that this was bigger than that plus thicker. So when they brought it over, I could definitely smell the cheese, so I felt like I needed to take a Lactaid with just like contact fumes. We also got a cauliflower bites to share. It was like Korean inspired flavor, and my other friend got a fried chicken sandwich, and she really enjoyed that too. It came with like 2 very large chicken breasts on it, and it also came with a side of fries. So I would say that that's a pretty nice restaurant. They also had like a lot of kitschy things, like gift shop things that you could buy. So actually my friend wanted to buy the portable hand fan just because it was such a freaking hot day, but they were actually sold out. So the waitress actually brought over a ton of different options. I asked the waitress how many umbrellas they sold, and she said that she's only sold 3 of them, so I guess they're not super hot commodity. It was $15, but actually we probably should have bought one because when we left it was actually thunderstorming, like pouring rain. So I did not have an umbrella, none of us had umbrellas, and I also, unfortunately for myself, I was wearing white leather shoes, so that was not great. My other friend was wearing kind of like canvas shoes, so also not great, but she's driving actually, and my other friend was wearing white sandals, also not great. All of us had terrible footwear basically for a torrential downpour. So that's everything I have for you. Hopefully this was a little bit of insight. So if you do have any questions about anything I had in the video today, feel free to leave a comment. I'll try to answer quickly, but no promises once my job starts if I'm able to answer throughout the week, just because I don't know how busy I'm going to be. Yeah, basically sorry about that. Everything's unexpected at this point. And then I will kind of bring you along with me for the rest of my week. Thank you again for watching, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye.